This is what I think, James.
Tell me.
I think a nerd died, like, sometime within the past week, right?
What?
And he goes to heaven, and when he's in heaven, he gets Avengers, Game of Thrones, and Mortal Kombat 11, just, like, back to back to back. And he's like, it can't get any better than this. But
He didn't have to die for
he
that.
didn't have to die for that, because
We
that's
all
also
got
what
that.
happened on Earth.
We all got that.
Because
Nerd heaven on Earth.
Everything you could have wanted
Yeah.
just came in
Minus
mass.
Star Wars stuff. And on the
Well, that was the week before, right?
And on the flip side of that, we got some negative Star Wars news. So we're starting to come down now, I think, today. Because that nerd up in heaven just got to meet Peter Mayhew.
Yeah, right?
Who just passed away, as we found out today. Which is a bummer for us here on Earth.
Yeah.
We lost a Wookiee, but heaven gained an angel.
Aww.
Right? I just came up with that.
That was nice.
Yeah, no one else can use that. That's mine.
Okay, cool. Well, while you're trademarking that, we're going to get this theme song going. We're going to be talking about a bunch of nerd stuff.
Let's rock.
You can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Turn the lights and grab a seat. Pour yourselves a whiskey neat. It's time to judge the shit out of these future releases by the movie trailers. We're trailer hits. This movie might totally suck, but the whiskey sure is going down fine. Yeah, we're trailer hits.
Thank you for the whiskey, by the way. It's just a little of heaven in a glass.
It's
nice.
isn't it nice? It's not a Wookiee brand whiskey, but that's sure to come because people are going to be cashing in on celebrities dying. Now we need to do something about it. Yeah, I'm a cynic. I don't know if
I caught it. R.I.P. to Peter Mayhew.
Absolutely.
And also welcome to Trailer Hitch.
Welcome to Trailer Hitch, everyone. I hate everything. I'm James.
And I'm Kevin. A bit more sunny.
Yeah.
All right, this is Trailer Hitch, where we rate and review movie trailers. We rate them on a scale of need to see more, or never need to see. If James and I both like a trailer, we see the movie, report back to you guys in a segment called Trailer in the Rear View, in which we review the trailer in retrospect, and we also review the movie as well.
That's happened.
Yes, and it's going to be happening this episode. Yes, this is going to be, as you could probably surmise, a pretty nerd-heavy episode. Not only are we going to be
kind
reviewing...
of all are, Kevin. We're nerds in our own
special way.
Here.
Yeah. On top of reviewing Endgame, we're also going to be reviewing Captain Marvel.
Yeah, just a tidbit. Tidbit.
Definitely.
We definitely saw it. We know it was a while ago, but it sort of leads into Avengers, which is why we wanted to pair them together for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these all sound like very positive things, but given that James is a part of the show, we have to ingest some cynicism into this. So we are going to be reviewing a trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sorry, excuse me.
We're not going to give away what we thought, but
vomited.
Have you seen the internet in the past few days? I'm sure you probably have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
Will we match that opinion? Will we differ from that opinion? You're going to have to listen to find out. But thankfully, you're not going to have to wait very long, because this is the Sonic the Hedgehog
Man, that
trailer.
came fast.
Gotta go fast. SFPD! Meow?
Ugh, it's coming fast. That sounded way too sexual. I did not mean for it to.
Was that any
so
worse?
sorry.
Was that any worse than what we saw in the trailer?
That's
this is
fair.
Sonic the Hedgehog. It is directed by Jeff Fowler. Written by, there's 8 people credited on IMDb. This is starring Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. He was Dr. Robotnik.
Dr. Robotnik, okay.
Yeah. We have James Marsden, Neil McDonough, Ben Schwartz as the titular hedgehog.
Mm-hmm.
Our random shout out, because we here at Trailer Hitch, we like to give random shout outs to cast and crew, just because the top billed people, they tend to hog all the credit. So we are going to go ahead and shout out Haley Lawton, who's the trainee assistant director. Hey, Haley, good job, bud. You trained on a movie.
Well done.
All right, so this is Sonic the Hedgehog. We open with a cop waiting by the side of the road when all of a sudden something whips by his car, and it goes, according to his little speedometer, 760 miles an hour.
Which is fast.
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, definitely. That's worth a ticket. And next, we see what caused that insane speed boost, and it is a blue hedgehog by the name of Sonic, who goes so fast that he ends up disrupting all of the power in the surrounding area. Just, like, knocks out grids, all this other shit.
That's what's implied.
Yes.
Yep.
As such, the military is like, we're not a fan of this guy.
Right.
So they bring in Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, who, to be fair, seems like he is just kind of giving up on the pretentious side of himself and is like, I'm just going to do what worked in the 90s. Yeah. I'm going to be goofy as shit, and I'm going to use that to carry this performance. James Marsden is the cop who discovers Sonic the Hedgehog after shooting the titular hedgehog with a sleep dart that, for some reason, Sonic just, I guess, decided not to dodge.
Yeah, apparently he can, freeze time and just very slowly step out of the way, but not in this case, apparently.
Everyone wants a fix,
yeah.
And if you get your kick with tranquilizer darts, sure.
Oh, you're saying he saw it coming and he was like, give me the juice.
Basically.
This is what I desire right here. Yeah, okay. Now, which leg? Left or right? Or butt? Nope, we go leg.
Get the artery, baby.
Yeah.
James Marsden and Sonic, for some reason, team up. Sonic says that he is there to save the planet from what? It's not
himself?
I guess.
It's like
there's no conflict.
You just pointed out that the trailer implies Sonic is the cause of this electrical grid disruption of the planet on a planetary scale. It's his fault.
He is an EMP, basically.
So he's there to save the planet from himself?
I guess it's implied that there is a different threat. They do not go into that.
But it's definitely, in terms of the trailer, it's not Dr. Robotnik, because all he cares about is catching the hedgehog.
Yeah, catching the thing that knocked out the power on the East Coast.
He's doing his goddamn job.
Basically.
Right? And if the hedgehog just laid low, there wouldn't be any threats to the planet that he would have to save it from? Question
More or
mark?
less. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a... Okay, anyway, continue.
So clearly a misstep.
Yeah.
This trailer ends then with him kind of like freezing time as a bunch of missiles are coming his way. And it just kind of plays as a less charming Quicksilver from Days of Future Past scene.
Or the Flash from Justice League, where Batman throws the batarang at him.
Oh, God, that's right. Which it takes 14 hours.
It was like
right.
It was your favorite part of that trailer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's those scenarios. That's definitely exactly how it plays in this, except way less interesting because it's not a real life person, which adds a level of realism and interest in those other examples.
As realist as a comic book movie can
Correct.
get.
Yes.
But to be fair, I do think there is something to be said, about seeing Quicksilver throw on a song and, have some fun as he murks a bunch of dudes.
Part of it is they chose a good song for that moment.
True.
Something this trailer also botched somehow.
Yeah!
Gangster's Paradise? Really?
It's a weird pull. If there's greater thematic significance to it, it's lost on me.
There's not. It's like, every person I watch this trailer with gets to the Gangster Paradise part and goes, really? It's an instantly recognizable song, true, but why? This is a scenario where...
I feel like even Coolio getting the residual check watched this trailer and went, I wouldn't have done that. I didn't need that second yacht.
Really? Sonic? I don't get it. Even Coolio doesn't get it, you guys. Missteps all over the place.
Yeah.
But should we talk about the main misstep, which has the internet a-buzzin'? It's not the fact that story-wise this trailer makes this movie look like trash, not good.
Yeah.
It's not that.
It's not that the humor isn't landing. It's not that the action doesn't look interesting.
It is an Aladdin scenario.
I was about to say, basically, if you are going to come out with a movie in 2019 with a CGI character that's blue, you're apparently just fucking up.
You're screwed, man.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Because this is the second instance this year where we have an all CGI character of a beloved, mostly nostalgia-driven icon.
It very much is. Yeah.
That they took some creative liberties with, and most of them were not great.
No, we're talking
Now,
about...
bear in mind, we know that this is an objective thing
Yeah.
to comment on. There may be someone, I guess the director, who thinks that this iteration of Sonic looks good. And if you do, feel free to write into us. Let us know what you like about this. Because we are siding with...
Yeah.
Almost everyone.
Yeah,
and saying that this looks terrifying.
Look, I don't want to body shame, but we kind of get into it every now and then when it comes to CG characters, and I think that's fair, right? Mm-hmm. That's people making creative
Sonic
decisions.
the Hedgehog
on this.
isn't going to leave social media over hurt feelings.
And we're talking the eyes. The eyes are too small. We're talking the teeth. The teeth look like they plucked teeth out of a human being, a real human being, and just digitally put it into a cartoon character. Like, why? Why? We're talking
like
the muscular thighs and calves.
Well,
just
if anything,
hair
it's
even.
Yeah, like the hair is all wacky.
It's so weird,
Like
man.
the legs, it's this weird, like they're kind of beanstalky, and he kind of looks like a Who character.
He
Kind
does
of in
look
the
like
waist.
a Who. His snout, too.
Yeah, the
is
snout,
very,
yeah.
He looks like he belongs in Whoville.
Yeah, absolutely. But like Ron Howard's Whoville, where
I mean,
everything
Jim
just
Carrey
looked,
is
ugh.
here.
Fuck, you're
That's
right.
the connection.
Maybe that
man.
is the connection.
That's the connection. It's gonna end on the snowflake that the Grinch took place on. But yeah, so people are not happy with the look of Sonic.
No. Which, bear in mind, this actually is news relevant as of today. The director of the film, Jeff Fowler, came out on Twitter and said that he has heard the criticism and is apparently going to redo the look of Sonic based on the reaction of this trailer, which I think is actually pretty interesting, because usually when a trailer looks like ass, they're just kind of like, well, we gotta commit.
They doubled down more times than not. I think production companies...
You'll get used to it.
Yeah, it's like, well, we can't admit that we made a mistake, so we're doubling down on it.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting call. Whether it ends up being any better will remain to be seen. And everyone is going to be watching from now on. Though.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, the next trailer that comes out, people are going to be looking at it under a microscope and just, like, figuring out every little detail that they changed and whether or not it was for the better or if, dude, you don't get it. Like, that could be an aspect of it as well. Real quick, I do want to touch on some stuff that this trailer did right.
Okay.
Crickets. No, there is a couple things. The sound effect. These are things you can't possibly mess up.
Right.
The sound effect of the ring when the Paramount thing happens.
And like the rings being the stars of the Paramount logo, very. I like how we're complimenting the
just stuff that the movie has no say in. Really.
Saying, yeah.
So anyway, James Marsden, I like. Mm-hmm. So that's first thing we get. We get a blue streak and James Marsden. Cool. We get the Paramount logo with the sound effect. Then we get the Sega logo. At the moment, I am in. Yeah. I'm like, oh, these are all nostalgic things plus James Marsden that I'm into. The second he puts on Gangster's Paradise, I'm like, what am I watching here? So that's when it really starts to go downhill. Like you said, Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, I don't hate. The look of it is kind of weird at the beginning. He's clearly just like giving 110% on the scene-chewing ridiculousness of this character. And then by the end of the trailer, we get a flash glimpse of how he will eventually look like,
which is
the
closer
cartoon character.
To the character, yeah.
Bald, egghead, goggles, and a mustache out to fucking here.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And I thought that looked great. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, maybe he should be like that the whole movie. Just to spruce it up, make it look interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then there's also a joke about Sonic in the duffel bag, and James Marsden is like, oh no, he's not my child. He's a child, just not mine. Like, that was funny. I laughed at that. And then Sonic said something about the bag smelling like body or whatever, and I didn't laugh at that. I don't think Ben Schwartz is a good choice for this in terms of this trailer. He may surprise me, but he doesn't sound like Sonic.
I wouldn't say he's the worst. I would just say that he's not really... Thank you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that he's, like, completely fitting right now.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't really know who I would want instead.
I don't know. It's maybe a voice actor.
Alan Tudyk was, like, at the mall with his family, and then he just picked up his phone, and it's like, you have 85 missed calls from Sega.
Alan Tudyk would be a great choice. He is a voice actor.
Yes.
Like, he is a voice actor. That's what I'm talking about. Get someone like that. Anyway, that's all I got for this, Kevin. I don't want to keep dwelling on Sonic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at one point in the trailer, Sonic says that he took 9 million steps today. And I would say all but 2 of them are a misstep. I will give this a never need to see.
Hard never need to see it for me.
Yeah, this unfortunate.
Should we move on?
Let's move on.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about something a little bit happier, something a little bit more marvelous, if you will.
I keep having these memories. I see flashes. I think I had a life here. But I can't tell if it's real.
I'm at a need to see more.
Okay, great. So am I. Okay. Actually, yeah. There's a lot to be desired yet in this trailer. I want to see more from Brie Larson.
Yeah, I think we're going to avoid making a pun about this leading in, because otherwise it's just going to be too cheesy. So anyway, this is the Brie Larson starring Captain Marvel. This stars Samuel L. Jackson. Fuck you, it was great.
That was so lame.
Ben Mendelsohn, Jude Law, Annette Bening, Clark Gregg. This was directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. Our random shout out is going to go to Elena Albanese, who is just credited as art director, but there's also like 5 other ones on IMDb that are also credited.
It takes a village, Kevin.
It does take a village, and that village included Elena, which we say good job to you.
Let's talk about this. So to start our trailer in the rear views,
we're going to talk about the trailer.
We talk about the trailer and specifically how the end product related to the trailer. How did the trailer sell us on the movie?
Yeah, and I remember when we saw the first trailer for this.
Yes.
We were like, like we were a bit in the middle on it. And I think a big thing that we were concerned about was, hey, we're not getting a lot of Captain Marvel in the Captain Marvel trailer. And given that she's the titular character, we should get a bit more from her.
It was very Nick Fury heavy.
Yeah.
But even the Nick Fury stuff, it's mostly voiceover. We don't see a lot of just people moving their mouth and words coming out in that trailer. And the parts that we do see, it looks like ADR. Like, it doesn't look like it really matches up that well. But yeah, like 80% of this trailer is Nick Fury. And it's like, where's Brie Larson? We barely get to see much of her.
Yeah, and we kind of called out that the few lines she does have are kind of stock, badass lines.
Which was probably by design for the trailer. Having seen the movie, I don't think she comes off that way at all. I think I thought it was a really great performance from her. Mm-hmm. So what were you doing in terms for the trailer?
In retrospect, it really does feel like they were trying to hide her in some ways. They were like, hey,
don't worry.
Let's sell the Marvel aspect of Captain Marvel and not so much the character who we're going to be spending 2 hours with.
Don't worry, misogynists. Like, this is a Nick Fury movie. She's just, lucky to be there. Like, that's kind of how it felt.
A bunch of dudes on Reddit are like, oh, well, maybe I'll fucking say that now.
Those people were not happy, by the way, by the end of this movie. No, because it's not that.
Nope.
It is about Captain Marvel and how much of a fucking badass she is. We were unimpressed with the trailer. And on top of it, and I've been saying it through the whole marketing campaign, which they appeased me one time, but then backslid, which is this movie is set in the 90s. It takes place in the 90s, and I thought it was a misstep to not have the music or the score at least embody
the 90s.
The 90s.
The 90s. The 90s-ness?
The 90s-ness of it. You know, and especially, at least if you're not going to drop a track in there, at least make your score sound 90s. You can do it.
Really
you're fucking Disney.
The blockbuster,
make it happen.
The blockbuster sign is really the only aspect that screams 90s, and I think that is a really effective setup for the trailer.
What would have made it better? Some fucking 90s song with it.
I mean,
something.
Given that the movie also uses 90s tracks,
countless.
Yeah,
a lot. And I'm like, I knew the movie was going to, because we know Marvel goes out of its way to make the soundtrack fit with the movie.
Yeah.
Like, Guardians has proven it does this. Even fucking Iron Man 3 opened with I'm Blue when the opening of that movie started in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know what they're doing. So why didn't you implement that in the soundtrack or in the marketing? You did it with Guardians.
Yeah, and
you did it with
maybe
Thor Ragnarok.
Yes. And I don't know, man. Maybe that was we don't want to tap this well too much. But I mean, if that's what works for your studio, why not do it? Especially given that this is a period piece, technically.
Yeah, it is.
It is set in the 90s.
It's not even it doesn't even start present day and then flashback to the 1990s.
Nah.
Which I think a lot of people assumed it was going to.
In retrospect, does the trailer adequately sell the movie? For me, not really.
No. If it does in an underwhelming way, because it's
maybe
so
this
vague.
trailer is tempering your expectations for a movie that's honestly pretty solid, which is sort of weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that this definitely undersells the movie.
Undersells.
I think that it highlights kind of the wrong aspects of the movie to highlight.
Yeah.
And where that decision came from is something that we are likely never going to have the answer to.
Which is fine. I don't really care. People should learn from it, though.
Yeah.
I think is the important the important side of it, and it undersold the movie. I think is the perfect explanation.
I mean, now that we've gotten done poo-pooing the trailer, let's get into the movie.
So before we talk about things that may be considered spoiler stuff,
let's not talk about the movie. Oh, okay. Before spoiler stuff.
Before spoiler stuff, what'd you think of the movie? Just for people listening that can shut off that haven't seen it yet.
I honestly really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed it as well. It's one of those movies where, and this is, now that I have two nieces, it's kind of hitting me harder, and that's a good thing. I'll acknowledge that maybe this is something I wouldn't have been hitting me as hard before I had nieces, but Star Wars being about Rey, Wonder Woman that came out, now Captain Marvel, I'm just getting so excited for movies like this. And I finished the movie and I called my mom right away and I'm like, oh my God, the girls would love this movie. They would love it. They loved Wonder Woman, they love Star Wars, and they love Rey. And that just really excites me that my nieces and girls of that age have action movies that they can envision themselves in as those heroes. And it's really great. And beyond that, it's just a good movie too. It's just really fun. There's good humor in it. There's good character stuff in terms of, especially when we start talking about the villains are, the maybe not who you think and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of gaslighting that happens in the movie. That's definitely a prominent theme throughout all of it.
But I thought it was effective.
Captain Marvel kind of coming to terms with herself.
Yeah.
And kind of learning the truth for herself and then making up her own mind based on said truth.
Yeah.
Is a big part of that movie, which I think is really cool.
Awesome. So we both liked the movie. So, at this point going forward, spoilers for Captain Marvel, I think. The Skrulls are set up as, these are the bad guys. And from what we know from a lot of movies, it's these are, Thor, the Frost Giants. Yeah, they're the bad guys. It's we can just take that at face value.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at them. They look different than us.
Totally.
They're the bad guys. Playing on the xenophobia in all of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Really. And And I thought it was effective. Spoiler alert, they're not the bad guys.
I don't think we have to say spoiler alert.
We're in the spoiler section, yeah. The Skrulls are not the bad guys, and it was...
I think a really nice touch is the first line we get from a Skrull, so it's like they go to Skrull Island or whatever the planet is. I'm really bad at, like, extraterrestrial planets. I'm really sorry, folks.
Fine, yeah.
On Skull Island, we have the sniper who's training a shot on someone, and then a Skrull approaches her and says, no, they're not the enemy. They're just tired and hungry.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, you're a Skrull. Whip around, bang, kill you. And in retrospect, that first line tells you exactly, no, like, that person is being honest.
And also, if they were the bad people, that person who impersonated the SEAL team or whatever, or the Cosmic SEAL, Navy SEALs, but if they were really the bad guys, he would have just slit her throat.
Probably, yeah.
He would have impersonated one of them and just killed her.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He tried to convince her to not kill someone else.
Yeah.
So
once it becomes clear that, like, he's a Skrull, it's like she turns on him and immediately shoots him.
So
which, in retrospect, that should have been a hint.
Yeah, well, there was
you don't pick up on that.
There was hints laid all over the place.
Yeah,
and from Ben Mendelsohn, who is like the main Skrull, from everything he does, it's just like you could tell they're withholding their actions, and it's like they could be doing this, but they're not. Instead, they're doing this, and it's not until later that you realize they're the good guy, or they're not the good guys. They're good people. They're just refugees, essentially, and being targeted as bad guys. And once you realize that, I think it's really effective. I didn't see it coming, even though I think I've heard people talk about that angle, but I thought it was really well done. The fact that Jude Law really is like the bad guy, it was really effective, but it wasn't... I still liked, by the end of the movie... There was still this respect that she had for Jude Law, and she didn't kill him. She basically showed, I could kill you in a snap of my finger, but I'm not going to. I liked all that. I liked the Annette Bening stuff. Annette Bening's character, Marvel, was not a bad guy, even though she was painted as such, like a traitor or something. Annette Bening got to play a bad guy in a way by playing like the artificial intelligence of their planet. I liked everything about this movie. I thought it's been a while since we've seen it, so we are going to be relatively quick on this review, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I'm getting into axes to grind, I would say that Captain Marvel is probably the best ad for Captain Marvel 2 that I can think of, because... it is very much an origin story.
Yeah,
and I think if you are burnt out on those...
which you are.
I am.
I know firsthand you are. Which I don't mind.
I definitely don't think it really does too much unique in that angle. I did kind of like the Skrull fake out. But then once you get the Skrull fake out, which happens about halfway through the movie... we're just going to go back to it being an origin movie.
Sure.
The moments I really like with Captain Marvel where... she blasts a couple dudes with her hands, and there's a clear moment where she looks down and goes, holy shit, because she didn't know she could do that, and she thinks it's awesome she could do that. I think that was really cool, and that was the sort of stuff that I was really latching onto. I know, like, I've heard a lot of people complain about her quippiness. I did not mind it, just as I did not mind the quippiness in Doctor Strange or Iron Man. But because so much of the movie is her trying to figure out who she is, she can be a bit blank.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of the movie was her just on a journey of trying to find her past, which also sort of means find herself. You're saying, wouldn't it be awesome if she already knew who she was, and the movie was about her dealing with the events at hand?
Instead of starting at, like, 20% of her personality and ending at 100. Start with 100 with a completely different personality, and then it shifts to something else by the end of the movie.
Because of the events of the movie.
Exactly.
I get you, yeah. I mean, I liked the chemistry between...
Brie Larson and Samuel Jackson. I think
really,
it's really good.
Fun.
I think Brie Larson does a good job with what she has.
Yeah.
I think like she embodies just kind of like the stoic badass.
Yeah.
Well, whatever I think of the stoic badass trope. I think that like the action right in the very beginning, so when we're on Skrull Island, I thought that was like really murky and wasn't really that interesting. Like
visually, no.
With like the fog of war stuff, I was like, yeah, but the fog isn't being used in that.
Sure.
Like, creative of a way, but like all the stuff on the when she was escaping from the ship right at the beginning, I was having a fucking blast, and that for me was when I really reversed and went, no, I'm having a ton of fun with this is really cool. And also I know people who are really railing on the No Doubt scene.
Fuck no, that song,
it's so
that scene
fun.
Was so good. I just loved that song. I love that song, period. And then to have it pop in right there at that moment.
And it does kind of like flip because we've already had quite a few action set pieces within the film at that point, and then kind of having one set to a pop song where in which, yeah, I'm just a girl and that's enough.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's
like,
totally cool.
I really like that.
Now, coming to the end here, because we're about to give our reviews and move on to Avengers. And we'll talk about this in Avengers.
Wait, no, fuck, we can't move on. We gotta talk about Goose. Goose is the best.
Goose is the best! Goose is the cat.
Yeah.
And who's not really a cat. The cat's amazing, especially Ben Mendelsohn being afraid of the cat. Really good stuff.
And that was a really fun reveal, because you think it's just kind of like the stock alien joke of like, oh, this is such a scary monster, and it's, you know, what appears to be an innocuous animal. And then, no, he's got, like, tentacles and shit.
Yeah, he can swallow things whole.
Yeah.
Like, he straight up eats people. It's pretty amazing. So, but going into Avengers Endgame, we should talk very briefly,
yes,
and then more so later, about the power of Captain Marvel. Because the biggest, the biggest discussion is her level of power. Is she too overpowered? And that kind of thing, especially when it comes to talking about Thanos and that stuff later.
Yeah.
How did you think the power level worked in this movie, at least?
In this movie, I think it works just because, though I would have liked her to maybe have more of a drawn personality right at the beginning.
Sure. Yeah.
I do understand a point to having her not really being sure of herself or who she is at the beginning, because then it does provide like a mental cap to her powers. So it's like
literally,
physically she's unrivaled, but since she doesn't completely believe in herself, she still has some limitations to herself. And so like the quote unquote like she's too overpowered argument, I didn't really feel that with the first Captain Marvel movie, because
it's really well handled.
Yeah, it's like we don't really get the full brunt of those powers until the end anyway, which is when you kind of want them. So.
Well, but then at the end, she like straight up just like flies through a spaceship, and it explodes, and it's like not a sweat, doesn't break a sweat for her, you know? And so I understand where some people were coming from. It's like she can fly, she shoots blasts from, you know, all of her orifices, and she fucking can just fly through a spaceship and explode it. It's like she's too overpowered. She's gonna be able to like kill Thanos instantly.
Yeah.
And like what's the danger in that? What's the threat in that? I thought it is even handled pretty well in Endgame too. Like I don't think it was a Professor X scenario from X-Men where it's like, this is a character who literally can do anything. We need to put him in a coma in literally every movie so he can't just fix everything in the snap of his fingers. I don't think it's that scenario. I thought it was handled well, especially in this movie. Yeah. She literally thinks she doesn't have the power to do that things. Anyway, what did you think? Review time, Kevin.
Yes. So for our trailer and the reviews, we rate the movies on a scale of should see again, glad I saw it, should have waited, or shouldn't have seen it.
That's right, all four.
Yeah. I'll give this a glad I saw it.
Glad I saw it. I'm also at a glad I saw it. Yeah. You know, It was really fun. I had a great time with it. Not my favorite Marvel movie. Not even my favorite movie this year, but but it was fun. It was fun enough, and that's enough deserving of a top review, top rating from me. So
shout out to all the people who didn't like it, because my expectations were really tempered, and then I walked in and was like, oh, I disagree with all you.
There you go. See, that's nice. Sometimes it's nice to hear reviews beforehand.
Yeah.
All right, should we move on to Endgame?
Yes. Fuck, man. 22 movies, and then this was it. It all came down to this. Did we like it? Did we hate it? Let's get into it.
Stay tuned.
All we can do is our best. And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
I don't know, the trailer was pretty underwhelming for me, which is why it is a need to see more. And Kevin, did you say yours? I can't remember.
I'm gonna need to see more.
Okay.
Another franchise bites the dust, James. This is Avengers Endgame.
Or rises from the dust.
This is directed by the Russo brothers. This is starring everyone ever. Our random shout out is going to go to Jane Aguirre, who is the production supervisor in the Philippines. Hey, Jane, thanks for handling the Philippines, bud.
It's an important part of the movie. I assume.
I would have to assume. I don't know what was shot there, but
either.
It had to be important.
They don't
Otherwise,
label
you
it.
wouldn't have gone to the Philippines.
They don't label it for us, unfortunately.
Absolutely. So. Okay, cool. So this is Avengers Endgame. We're going to talk a bit about the trailer, which when we were doing the initial review, I really struggled on, because if we're looking at the trailer as its own piece, like, it's not really that great, because it's basically just like, oh, this is all the stuff that happened in all of the other Marvel movies.
Yes.
And we're going to try and fix what happened in Infinity War.
Tied in with dark and brooding new footage.
Which it was like, well, yeah, we would hope that they would be trying to fix what happened in Infinity War. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a 3-hour movie.
Why would I buy a ticket?
So, yeah, I mean, like, looking back at this trailer, I mean, like, it basically did what its function was. I mean, it was like, hey, remember, keep in mind that there were a lot of movies that came before this, maybe even subtly hinting, maybe you should, like, look up the Wikipedia for some of those before you come in.
That's a really good point, because at the time, you just think, oh, it's just going on a nostalgia trip because it doesn't want to give anything away. But, like you said, there's actually a method to the madness here more than that.
Yeah.
The things they're showing us in these trailers come into account. They come up in this movie, in more so than just a passing line of dialogue or a joke that referenced Iron Man 1. Like, it's more than that. This movie relies on every movie that has come before it.
Right.
And they were subtly telling us that in the marketing. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to pick up on that at the beginning. At the beginning, I thought, oh, they're just trying to hide footage so that they don't give away anything, so no one will be able to guess the ending. That's part of it, but it was a hint. It was a clue, and that was kind of genius and fun.
Yeah.
Now, having seen the movie, how do we think this trailer did selling it?
I mean, again, it was a really hard trailer to review, because
at the time, yeah.
Well, I mean,
definitely.
like, even now, because it's like, I mean, it kind of doesn't matter. The movie made $1.2 billion in its first weekend anyway. It didn't really matter. They could have just, like, put out I don't know, like a slip of paper that said it's coming on Friday.
Yeah.
And people would have been like, cool. And that would have been that.
Yeah.
For this, I mean, like, obviously there's a bit more thought to it than a slip of paper.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, as its own piece, like, does it sell the movie? I mean, yeah. Like, it definitely sells you on how much came before it. It kind of recaps Infinity War for you.
Oh, definitely. Yep. Which is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's basically like, all right, we're going to get into it. And then that's it. Now, having seen the movie, and we had talked about this during our review, Yeah, I kind of appreciated that they didn't go too heavy into what the story was going to be.
Totally.
Would I have liked a little bit more? I mean, like, I'd really have to rack my brain to pick out, it would have been really great to see this in
knowing what's there.
Yeah.
What would you have put in?
Yeah.
That past you would have been okay with, but wasn't too much.
Right.
Yeah, that's tricky to do with this movie.
Yeah.
And I know where I land on it, and it's nothing. I wouldn't have changed a thing about the marketing. I thought, now having seen the movie, the trailer sells it perfectly for what it is, at the same time of not giving you the outcome of anything. It tells you they're going to attempt to undo what happened somehow. And it also tells you that every movie that has come before now is important. If you haven't seen at least half of the Marvel movies in this franchise, maybe this isn't for you. Like, this trailer almost tells you that. Like, you should be a fan of this stuff. You should know this stuff to see Endgame. And having seen the movie, now watching this trailer, I think it does it in aces, and I wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like the lingering on the brooding, and we'll get into it once we get into the movie.
Sure, lingering on the brooding.
Is what the first hour of the movie does. It really, it is just like heavy in the weight of, we fucked up for the first hour of it. And that's kind of where the trailer is at. It's kind of when we actually get the new quote unquote footage, it is definitely them going, oof, man, this is bad.
That was
guys.
a hell of a day, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah, totally. I think what I would have liked is maybe just like one or two action shots, or maybe just like one shot of seeing.
I mean, so this, you wanted more than this, but we did get the shot of Captain America strapping on his shield with like that real angry, like, strap down with like debris around him. That's from an action scene. I know it's not an action moment, and you're saying maybe an action moment would have been nice in the trailer.
I think it would have been cool to see not whose hand it lands in, but to see Thor's hammer flying through the air. Would have been dope as fuck.
Tease the fact that the hammer is there.
Yeah.
Because the last we saw it, it was being blown in smithereens.
Yeah, it got blown up in a trailer.
So spoiler alert, Thor's hammer is in this movie in some capacity, and we'll explain why in a second. But, okay, so in terms of selling you on the movie, where do you land on this? Somewhere in the middle still?
I'm still a little in the middle.
Okay,
like,
and I think that's fair.
I think it did like a solid job of giving me what the first hour had in store for us. But I think I would have liked just like a little taste.
I think that's fair.
Because like the second hour is really fun. I think the third hour is really good, but of course don't touch that for a trailer.
The highlight of this movie is stuff that is nowhere to be seen in the marketing.
Correct.
And I still maintain that is the way I would have done it, even now knowing, but you're right. That's the good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Spoilers from here on out for Avengers Endgame.
Getting into the movie, man.
Spoilers. So many spoilers. Just spoilers, guys, okay? Don't blame us.
For those of you who were drinking every time James said spoilers, this is when you should get to a hospital. All right, so here we are, man. It's Spoiler City. Population, us. I liked it.
Yeah, real good, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. We haven't even spoiled anything yet, so it's fair enough to say.
Oh, okay, I don't know. Like,
did you like the movie?
Yes.
You liked it in general. I loved it. I loved this movie. Okay, now spoilers. Although the people already turned it off. They're
already on their way to the ER, man. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I mean, like, before we get too heavy into it, I will say definitely the most fun I've had with an Avengers movie since the first one. I haven't seen the first one since it came out.
I did a rewatch
almost a decade ago.
Yeah,
I might actually say this is my favorite of the Avengers movies.
I probably would still give it to the first Avengers movie.
Sure.
I just did a rewatch. Not of the whole universe, the MCU, but just the Avengers movies. I rewatched Avengers Age of Ultron, and Avengers Infinity War, right before Endgame. And man, did that fucking pay off.
Oh, sure.
In ways I never could have expected. Because why? This is a time travel movie, people.
Yeah.
And Man, did I love that they kept that under wraps. Rewatching that first Avengers movie, when they traveled back in time to the Battle of New York from the first Avengers movie, I was just like so giddy. And I'm sure everyone was, because everyone has seen it. But having just watched it, and it was like super fresh in my mind, it looked incredible. Having the scene of them standing around Loki at the end, and then it cuts to the reverse of Tony Stark saying, all right, let's not all stand around posing like we're in some sort of movie or something.
Was that in the first movie? I forgot.
Not the follow-up line, but them posing over him was. And like just to have these like, it was so good. And to see how, because Avengers Age of Ultron starts with Hydra has Loki's scepter.
Yeah.
We got to see in this movie, literally seconds after the Avengers acquire it, we see Hydra come in and confiscate it.
Yeah.
You know, under the guise of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was so great. And for me, having just rewatched it, it was great. It's a time travel movie, guys.
Yes,
there you go.
is.
Sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
it is. Yeah. I mean, like, the first hour is just like...
dark and brooding.
Yeah, but like...
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense because half the planet died. And
half the universe.
Yeah, and I think especially not letting go of the fact that more than heroes died. The fact that Ant-Man goes to that monument, and it's these big obelisks of just all of the names of people who died, probably just in San Francisco. And there's a lot... And it does. It really makes you step back and recognize just how devastating this was. I think the nonchalant way they kill Thanos in the first 10 minutes is pretty cool. I was like, well, all right.
It's so effective, and it's like...
And then the fact that we go to 5 years later. Well, like, you're expecting them to fix this shit within a week.
Yeah.
And they have to just linger on that shit for half a decade.
But even before that, it's like you think the death of Thanos is going to stir some sort of excitement or completion for you.
Yeah.
And it's just the second Thor beheads Thanos, that doesn't make me satisfied at all. And then instantly with the Chiron that says 5 years later.
Yeah.
And they take their fucking time putting up those 3 words,
Yeah.
I tell you. I'm like, man, this 3-hour runtime, like half that hour could have been cut out of that one moment. Not really, but they make you dwell on it. Dwell on the fact that they failed and they lived with it for this long. And it was effective, man. And
you actually get to see like the aftermath of them living with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you see
them trying to move on.
Yeah.
Captain America is really the only one who seems to be not okay with everything, obviously, but he felt like he found a purpose, especially in those meetings he was doing, in trying to help others move on.
I would say that Iron Man found purpose. I feel like he is handling
but
it
Iron
like
Man
a
is
champ.
not part of the Avengers at that point.
And he's also, in a way, not handling it. Like, he went and, like, got a family. And, like, that's what he did. It was basically him throwing it away and trying to avoid it.
Yeah, he coped. But the first time watching it, I was getting a little impatient with that first hour because that was the only stuff we were given in the trailer.
Yeah.
I know we get past this. Can we please...
What's up with the suits they wear?
See past this. But it really took its time with it. And on reflection, I think it's very effective that way. But...
I do think that...
knowing it's a 3-hour movie and we have so much juice to get to, I was impatient in the theater for it.
Really... I do. I feel like Infinity War was Thanos' movie. Where
100%.
It's all Thanos all the time, baby. And the Avengers are there. They're there to try and stop Thanos. Does anyone really get an arc in Infinity War?
Thanos does. That's it. He's
Thanos.
The main character. You're right.
Whereas this is the Avengers. So it's like now the Avengers are our characters. They're our point of view characters, and we're seeing them. And I do like that they took the time to kind of give them all arcs.
Tiny arcs. They're
tiny.
They're personal character arcs.
Yeah, and I also think they can kind of fit within the larger scale of, like, the 22-movie arc.
Yeah.
God, that's still fucking insane to rationalize that, isn't it?
To wrap your head around it. It totally is.
But at the same time, I can appreciate the fact that no, we don't want to leave any of these characters behind. If there is someone left to get a story out of, we want to give you what their story is. And now, bear in mind, I do think some of them are more successful than others. I was more interested in Black Widow trying desperately to rally the troops and trying to find that
was
purpose.
great, yeah.
Captain America, not really sure what he was doing. Even Ant-Man, like, I thought the first one was fine, and I didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp, but, like...
It's good. It's good.
Yeah,
it's not necessary, but it's good.
Yeah, I did really enjoy him, like, his daughter seeing him for the first time in 5 years after assuming he was dead.
Great moment, yeah.
They do. I think stuff like that is really successful. Now, Thor being overweight, I think, is, like, really funny, like, the first time we see it. They do kind of hit that one joke over and over throughout the runtime.
I was so okay with it. Anytime there was, like, Fat Thor stuff, I was all in. I thought it was so funny.
And bear in mind, something I did appreciate is the fact that Thor didn't have to, like, have a montage where he lost a bunch of weight before the climactic battle.
They could have done it. He's magic. They
Right.
could have done it.
Totally.
And they didn't, and I appreciate the hell out of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner is now the Hulk full-time.
Yeah, Professor Hulk. Didn't really do it for me.
Yeah, because so much of that character is the conflict of him trying to be able to control the Hulk side.
It's like, hey, look, I solved every problem in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Why should I care about you now anymore?
Kinda,
it's kind
sorta.
of how I felt about Bruce Banner / Hulk stuff. So I
Yeah.
hope that goes away in the future.
Yeah, if not that, then at least find, like, you kind of have to give him something else.
Yeah.
But, like,
I mean, it's
to be
clear-
fair, I mean, like, we all, like, I fucking forgot about the Ed Norton Hulk movie, so unfortunately Hulk is kind of treated like an afterthought in the series generally.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they tried to do something with him. Like, okay, now he's going to be the Hulk full-time, all day, every day. But is that ultimately what I think makes him a more interesting character? Or, like, do I think that helps? Not really. Like, not on set, anyway.
Because especially just the way he acted. It was just like, all my problems are gone. I'm the happiest version of myself I've ever been.
Which, to
and
be
this
fair,
is the best thing in the world.
Isn't that kind of like what we're getting with Robert Downey Jr.'s character anyway? He's like, I have everything I want. I have my family.
Yeah, but that was to a fault. And that's why it worked for him. That's why he was like, I'm not going back in time to fix this. I would lose everything I gained.
Yeah, he was basically like, I want to help you guys, but as long as I can keep everything that I have now.
Yeah, and that's why
Which at that point
worked.
it's like, just staple, he's going to die on his chest. Why don't you? But, yeah, no, I do think that that's a solid point, that it's played to a fault with Iron Man. But I guess, like, if you were going to try and draw a dichotomy of, like, Iron Man, quote-unquote, figured out his problems, but is clearly hiding from stuff, whereas Hulk figured out all this shit, and now he's the best, man.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not as interesting
Absolutely,
to me.
it's not. It plays good for jokes a couple times, but that's about it.
Yeah, him half-heartedly throwing shit around in New York once they go back in time. Had a lot of fun.
That was great. Yeah.
But anyway, now let's get into that second hour.
Let's get into the juice. The
fucking
good stuff.
Time heist.
The Pym particle juice. That is the result of time travel.
So in order for them to defeat Thanos, because the stones have already been destroyed, they got to go back in time.
They didn't play Huey Lewis, which was the only critique I had.
Only
of this
note
whole
in that
movie.
second hour.
Yeah.
They go back in time to grab Infinity Stones, to basically take them.
Because Thanos has destroyed the Infinity Stones. They know the only way to undo what he did was to use the stones and snap their fingers and bring everyone back.
Yeah.
He can't do that. He destroyed them. Go back in time and get them.
Exactly. And so we see our characters go into the first Avengers movie. We see them...
Thor, the Dark World.
Yep.
Guardians for a little bit. The first Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers Infinity War. I mean, they visit the planet where the Soul Stone is. Like, that's a big part of it. And, yeah, I just wildly effective and just so happy. But again, like we were talking about pre-spoilers... That's why the trailer for this movie worked so well, is because we're gonna revisit this shit. and you're gonna love it. And I
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And I did.
And I ended up really enjoying it too because it's not easy. Like, they throw enough wrenches at these characters.
You think it's gonna be? They play it up as like, this is a smash and grab job.
Yeah,
we
it's
just
like,
show up and take it, and we're
they
gone.
already fucking did it once.
Yeah.
They're gonna be able to do it again.
Yeah.
And then Captain America has to fight himself, and it's fucking
It's so
fun.
amazing,
Yeah,
right? And like fucking Loki steals the Space Stone, and it's just gone.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what do we do now? We need them all.
The time heist portion of the movie was great. I had a ton of fun.
So great.
Like,
the explanation of time travel is, once you stop to think about it, it can be very confusing.
oh god, yeah, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
too. And now we get into the third part of the movie, which is they bring everything back. They snap their fingers. You hear for the first time birds chirping, so clearly it appears as if there's more life outside. Then all of a sudden, missiles. Not only do we have half of the life back on the planet, but it appears as if the thing that took the half in the first place came with them. And, blows their asses up. And then we get the last part of the movie, which is them going after Thanos again. I will say the stuff with she's blue dabba dee dabba da. What's her?
Nebula.
Nebula.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff I wasn't as invested in, just because it kind of felt strange to dive so much into a character that is more or less just used as a plot device in the Guardians movies as it is, and in Infinity War, come to think of it. Then we get our last fight, and honestly, I was not expecting seeing every hero on screen at the same time to be as awesome.
Fulfilling.
Fulfilling's a really good word.
So fulfilling.
It's so crazy, because that's really, I feel like that gets across what the trailer for the movie is trying to, is like, hey, remember how big the scope of this fucking thing is. And once you see 22 movies worth of characters all coming together
At the same time.
Holy shit, they did it.
It's intense.
Yeah.
And it's in a good way. It's not overwhelming either. It's very calming almost in the moment. It's very zen when everyone starts to show up and you realize they succeeded. Everyone's back from the dusting. And now they're here to kick some ass. But we, in this grandiose battle, we do get the sense that they're still losing, though.
Yeah,
right?
It's until Captain Marvel.
And that's why I wanted to bring up the poweredness of Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel shows up. She wasn't dusted. She was alive the whole time.
We still don't know what happened to Goose, and I'm fucking mad about it, but go on.
A lot of people were like, well, where was she for the whole part of the movie? And it's like, well, she said at the beginning she's off doing some intergalactic
There are more
stuff.
planets in the universe.
But at
than
the
this,
same time, when they figured out this time travel thing, they didn't need another person to come in and help.
Yeah.
They had their team, right? So it's not like Captain Marvel would have helped in the time travel part of the movie anyway, right? Like, a lot of people are like, you needed to write her out because she's too powerful. That's a scenario where her level of powerness wouldn't have had an effect. Like, the reason they went to the areas they went to was because they could blend in, because they themselves were in those moments, or they knew something about it, or they could get the stone. Captain Marvel would have been no help there. So that was really smart. That's why she wasn't there. I don't know why she didn't come earlier in the final battle. Like, clearly no one reached out to her, right? Because they snapped their fingers to fix everything, and then Thanos attacks instantly.
Yeah.
So no one reached out to her. So she got the word anyway, because she shows up.
Well, I mean, you got to figure whatever planet she's on. She looks around and is like, why is this restaurant suddenly more crowded?
Oh, that's fair.
Fuck!
Yep,
They probably did it!
I thought I was, I beat the crowd at IHOP, but no, they were here the whole time. They were here when the snap happened, and now they're back. So you're okay.
Now I'm
that's
sharing
fair.
a booth with a family of 4. Fuck.
So you'd think she could get there instantly, though, and just be like, "Oh, I know where to go. These people are instantly here. I know where to go." and show up right at the beginning of the fight
Yeah.
and take out those ships instantly. But she kind of shows up when it's most dramatic.
Yeah.
That's the only part that I was a little eye-rolly about.
That's
it's
fair.
not her level of powerness, it's the convenience of dramatically when she showed up. And then when she's fighting Thanos one-on-one, and Thanos headbutts her, and she just...
Nothing happens.
I loved that moment, but at the same time, it was important for me to show that this threat of the universe, Thanos, can still best the person that everyone says should be able to take Thanos out like that.
Yeah.
And he does. He outsmarts her. He grabs the Power Stone from the Infinity Gauntlet and just punches her in the face.
Yeah.
And that did it. And she didn't see it coming. And I like the fact that her, like everyone else in this universe, can be beaten in some sense. How's it end?
Well, the Avengers plan is, okay, we're going to just snap and make this fucker disappear. Who is the person who is tasked to do that? Iron Man looks up, he sees that Thanos is getting ready to fucking jazz snap everyone to dust again. Iron Man looks up and sees Doctor Strange, who holds up a finger, implying this is the one in the,
14 million. I think
14
he
million scenario where we might be able to do this.
Yep.
And Iron Man's like, ugh.
Yeah. Like Iron Man had on his face when he looked at Doctor Strange, I go do this, right?
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is like, yep, you guessed it. You gotta die for everyone. This is
Yeah.
it. Which is why he saved Tony Stark in Infinity War. He knew that Tony Stark would be the only one who would be in the position to make that happen come the time.
That's right, yeah.
Because he says in Infinity War, if it comes between you or Spider-Man or the Time Stone, I will not hesitate to let you two die if I can keep this Time Stone safe. Then he literally trades the Time Stone for Tony Stark's life and then disappears.
Yep.
And says, we're in the Endgame now. That tells you Tony Stark was the one to make everything, to fix everything.
And
he
yeah,
did.
He did.
And
he snaps his fingers, Thanos and his cronies die.
He says his titular line, which was amazing.
Fucking, I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man, and snaps his fingers, and it was so baller. And he dies. He's not able to withstand the power that it takes to do what he did. Like, it was a great, well-executed scene. I just didn't, get choked up at it because it made sense to me. He accomplished literally everything you could possibly want to do in his scenario. The last thing, he had a family, he had a daughter, he had a wife. He was a good guy. The last thing he could do was make peace with his dad. That's it. That is all Tony Stark had left to do. And he got to do it in this movie when he time traveled back to the 70s. And when he had that moment and then snapped his fingers, you were just like, no, this makes sense. This is how it should be. And even Pepper Potts comes up to him and is like, you can rest now. Like, you had literally done anything you needed to do. And I was as relaxed and comforted as Tony Stark was.
Because again, he is the hero that started the entire franchise. And I think the idea of killing him off, I think is the best way to signal to people this saga is complete.
Yeah.
I will say something that I liked even more was Captain America's ending.
And we have come full circle to the only thing in this movie that I got emotional about.
Yeah, so I mean...
They succeed.
They
win the day.
Thanos is dead. They hold the most star-studded funeral possible for Iron Man.
The longest tracking shot I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Just the point of it is just to show stars.
Even Paul Thomas Anderson was like, this is excessive,
Yeah.
guys. Let's reel it back. After that, Captain America's like, all right, I'm going to go put all these...
There's still a job to do.
Yeah.
We have to put these stones back so that those timelines or those realities aren't fucked. Hulk says, too, or Ant-Man says, someone says...
Yeah, like, how long is this going to take?
We'll see you back in 5 seconds.
Yeah, and Hulk is like, it'll take like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And he leaves, 5 seconds goes by, and nothing happens.
10 seconds go by, nothing happens.
Where is he? And then...
Bucky first notices... Anthony Mackie, I think, is the first one to say something about it.
Yeah.
Because once Anthony Mackie, Falcon, turns to Bucky. It looks like Bucky already has pieced everything together, and he sends Sam Falcon over to go talk to someone who's sitting on a bench very serenely.
And it is old Captain America. He stayed back in the past to be with Peggy.
Yeah.
And the woman who he has pined for the entire series.
The old effects on Chris Evans are immeasurable.
Yeah.
How amazing they are. The volume of hair probably wasn't as realistic when you're that age.
It's the movies,
but
baby.
Look, whatever. I'll give it to you. Him passing on the shield to Sam, that got me emotional. I got really emotional because through all of these movies, Sam has proven himself over and over again that he is Captain America's man through and through. You know, he weathers the storm, and he's there for Captain America no matter what. He deserves this. And it was very emotional for me. And the fact we saw a wedding ring on his finger, we know he got to live the life that he wanted to with Peggy.
I think even better is the last shot of the movie where we go back in time and we see him.
We're in on the secret that he wouldn't tell Sam.
Yep. He is dancing with Peggy. And what I really like about it, if you think about it, look at them as companion pieces. So what's the last shot of Infinity War? We see Thanos alone. The end of this movie, we get what it looks like when you have the other half of your universe.
Life is nothing.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, life is nothing unless you have someone to share it with.
Yeah.
And I think that is just a great universal message that's in almost any good movie, really. Like, it doesn't need to be singular to action movies or superhero movies. You can put that message in anything, and it should ring true.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done.
Exhausting movie, but, like, in the best way possible. It just is so satisfying by the end of it.
For me, Endgame is, like, the best way I can sum up the MCU saga, where it's, like, it's so entertaining. There are some really clever moments. There are some moments that are genuinely really touching. It is also kind of a mess, like, and it is really long.
The movie asks you not to think too hard on the time travel elements of it. Not that I'm saying I'm a genius and that, it actually technically doesn't make sense if blah, blah, blah. Look, I haven't thought it all out because I'm not a physicist who has thought about time
and
travel.
It's one of those things where, like, anytime you introduce time travel into any plot line, it's going to get messy.
But they literally, like, point out to you in the movie when the Hulk is explaining to Scott Lang, like, this isn't like Back to the Future. Don't worry about it. Here's a quick explanation. Don't worry about it. It told me as an audience member, these things might not line up, but not to worry about it. And I didn't. And then you like it all the more, I think.
All right, man. Well, this has been long.
Final ratings,
long and exhausting. I'm going to give this a glad I saw it.
Yeah, this is a should see it again. Through and through for me. I haven't yet. I plan on it. It's a long one, though, which is the one thing that, you know, has me dragging my feet to go see it again. 3 hours is a long time, and I am so excited to see this again, though, and really, like, experience it knowing everything from the get-go now, to see if I feel like that first hour is too long still, or if it's worth it, if it deserved. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. That's our review of Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And that's probably the end of the episode, I think, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, sorry, it's just, you know, we snapped all of this back into existence and I'm just wiped. So, before I die and Brie Larson shows up to my funeral, I will say thank you very much to all of the people who helped make this show possible. That includes Jenny Hawks, our social media and bad movie correspondent. That includes Danny Schmitz from Lost in the Name for the amazing intro song that you hear. That includes Casey Clowers for the amazing outro song that you'll hear in a moment. If you want to contact us, if you have thoughts on Endgame, and let's face it, you probably do. You probably saw it. It made $1.2 billion. You're probably 20 of them.
Everyone has thoughts, yeah.
Yeah. You can do that on our Facebook. If you just search Trailer Hitch on Facebook, you should be able to find us there. Otherwise, if you want to give us condensed thoughts, you can do that on Twitter at Trailer Hitch Pod. You can do that on Instagram at Trailer Hitch Podcast if you want to send us a picture with your thoughts. You can also send us an email at trailerhitchmailbox@gmail.com. If you just want to listen to more of our thoughts, you can do that. iTunes, baby. You find us there. Rate our show. Subscribe to our show. It helps us find more listeners.
Comment on it. Subscribe. Do all those things.
And if you're an Android user, don't worry. We remember Stitcher. You can find us on there, too. You can also find us on YouTube. If you want to search for us, Trailer Hitch Podcast on YouTube, you'll be able to find us there. You get our entire backlog. You can subscribe to us there as well. You can comment on there as well. Do what you feel is right. However you listen to us, as long as you're listening to us, we don't care.
It's up to you. Yeah.
All right, man, cool. Well, that about does it for us. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back in a couple of weeks with thoughts on other movies, perhaps?
I think that's a great tease, Kevin. Yes.
You can't mend holy sails without a sailor stitch, and you can't haul your stuff without a trailer hitch. Trailer hitch.
Wait, hang on. There's a spider in the corner, and I gotta get it.
No, please do.
I gotta get it. Sweet.
Wait, no, hang on. I'll get it.
No. Wait. Oh, you snapped it away. Is that an Avenger joke?
Yeah, it is.
I love it.
Trying to be on brand, man.
On brand. See, it's in the corner, so it's really difficult. So I got him.
Good.
But I got him right away. The tricky part was I couldn't get his corpse. That's the part that was tricky.
Dude, you should have kept the corpse up. That could have been like
a warning sign
to
the rest of them.
It's like in fantasy shit where they have severed heads on spikes outside of the castle. Just all the other spiders coming in like, oh, this is clearly not for me.
Abandon hope all ye enter here.
Exactly. Yeah.